Today is called Zois Chanukah, the last day of Chanukah. It's a very, very special day. It says in the Zohar that the final decree of the whole year comes today. Rosh Hashanah, it's written. Yom Kippur, it's sealed. Hoshana Rabbah, they hand out the notes. And on the last day of Chanukah, there's another stage. So today is a big day. It says that what great tzaddikim could accomplish on Rosh Hashanah, a regular person could accomplish today. So if anybody has a special request or a special bracha that we need, it's a good time to ask for it today. Zois Chanukah. Okay. Hilchos Geirushin Perek Shishi, the laws of divorce, chapter 6. Today we're going to be fully occupied with the idea of shlichut, shlichus, agency when it comes to delivering a divorce. And as we go into this chapter, it's very important to become familiar with these three terms on the screen. There's three types of agents when it comes to divorce. The first one is called shliach Kabbalah. Shliach Kabbalah means the woman's agent to receive her divorce. She doesn't want to be the one to get the divorce from her husband. She wants somebody else to do it. But in this case, he is exactly like her. He's her extension. And therefore, the woman is divorced when the agent receives the divorce document. Doesn't even have to reach the woman. The minute he gets it, she's divorced. The other two are a different type of agency. This one is called shliach holacha, the man's agent to deliver the divorce. He says, here, I don't want to give the divorce to my wife. You go give it to my wife. In that case, the agent is an extension of the man. And so, the woman is only divorced when the divorce document reaches the woman. As long as the shliach, the agent, is still traveling, she's not divorced yet. Because he's like the husband continuation, not the woman's continuation. And in between those, we have what's called shliach hava'ah. This is the woman's agent, but she's not making him an agent to receive the divorce for her. She's making him an agent to bring the divorce for her. So the woman is creating an extension of the man. You understand? And therefore, also in this case, the woman is divorced when the divorce document reaches the woman. These are going to be three terms that are going to be consistently repeated throughout this chapter, so it's very important to remember them. The woman's agent to receive, Kabbalah. The man's agent to deliver, Holacha. The woman's agent to deliver, Hava'ah. Okay? Knowing that, let's begin the parak. Halacha Aleph. Hashliach she'oiseh ha'isha lekabil lagita miyad baila. The agent that a woman appoints to receive her divorce from the hand of her husband, hu hanikra shliach Kabbalah, is called the agent of receiving, the woman's agent to receive. Umishi yagia haget liyad shlucha. In this case, the moment the divorce reaches the hands of the agent, tisgaresh ki'ilu higia liyada, she will be divorced as if the divorce document reached her own hand. Because in this case, he is going to become like her, she needs to appoint him in the presence of witnesses. That's the last column over here. Needs appointment with witnesses? Yes. In the case of Shliach Kabbalah, yes, there needs to be witnesses. Besides for the two witnesses who are going to watch when she appoints him, there also needs to be two witnesses watching when the husband hands over the divorce to the agent. Because just like on a regular divorce, the husband hands it over to the woman in the presence of witnesses. Here, where the agent is taking the place of the woman, the husband must hand it over in the presence of witnesses. But there's two sets of witnesses here. Witnesses of the appointment and of the delivery. Even if the same two witnesses watch the appointment and watch the delivery, that's okay. Or at least one of them is shared, it's fine. It's a complete testimony, but there has to be testimony on both elements. Says the Rambam, when does the above apply? When do we say that there has to be witnesses? Also, in the case of a shliach Kabbalah, in a case of an agent receiving the divorce, b'sha'avad haget ay nikra, if the divorce document was lost or torn up. But if the agent who was appointed to receive the divorce is holding the document, you can see it in his hands, there's no need to have witnesses who saw the delivery. The fact that the husband, whether the husband gave it to him privately or in front of witnesses, the fact that it's coming out of his hand, he's producing it, is basically equal to if a woman would produce a get, in which case we don't require witnesses, she has the divorce. Nevertheless, to begin with, as an initial preference, the husband should definitely not give it over to this agent without witnesses watching. He should. The same way as to a woman herself. You want to give it over as witnesses are watching, but technically if he has the divorce, there's no need for witnesses. That is category number 1, Shliach Kabbalah. Category number 2, Halacha Gimel. Habal eino yochel laser shliach lekabel get leishta. The husband cannot appoint such an agent. The husband cannot make an agent who will receive the divorce, who will become an extension of the wife. You can't do that. For the same principle, actually, we mentioned the other day, that a liability can only be done in the presence of a person. Ein chavin la'adam ela befanav. Since giving a divorce is a liability for her, you cannot make somebody become like her. What you could do is, you can make an agent to deliver the divorce to your wife. That's our second category here, the man's agent to deliver the divorce. Halacha Dalid, third category, a woman can also send an agent to bring her divorce from the hand of her husband, not as a recipient, not as an extension of herself, but as an extension of the husband. That's called an agent of bringing. He's the woman's agent to bring the divorce from the husband. An agent who was appointed by the man or by the woman to deliver, not to receive, in both of those cases, they don't have to be appointed with witnesses, because the divorce isn't taking place as soon as they get it. They have to transport it. It's a whole process till they get to the woman. That's where you'll have witnesses watching the agent giving it to the woman, but not watching the appointment of the agent. Halacha hey. In the latter two cases, if the divorce document is sent by the husband or the woman has the agent bring it to her, she does not get divorced until the divorce document actually reaches her hand. Says the Rambam, although I've described to you 3 types of agents, you should know that whenever we're going to use the word agent by default with no particular implication, it's a reference to one of these two. If you see the word shliach, just the word shliach, it means a shliach of delivery, not an agent of receiving. That the Rambam will call shliach Kabbalah directly. Just the word shliach means an agent of the man or of the woman to deliver. It says the Rambam halachavav hakol kshedim l'shlichos haget. Any person is fit to serve as an agent of divorce. Bein l'shliach Kabbalah, bein l'shliach halacha v'hava, for any of the 3 categories, to be an agent of receiving, an agent of delivery, an agent of bringing. Chutz min hachamisha, except for the famous 5. The famous 5 who are disqualified from most things Torah related. Ha'akum, an idol-worshipping Gentile. V'ha'eved, and a slave. Even if he's a slave of a Jew, the laws of marriage and divorce don't apply to him. Although some people do rule that a slave can be an agent, but the Rambam says no. V'ha'chedesh, v'ha'sheita, v'ha'katan, and then the classic 3, deaf, mute, mentally unstable person and a child, a minor. If any of these serve as a recipient or as a deliverer of a get, it's not a get, the whole get is void. But women and relatives, typically they're more also not usually qualified for many things. Kshedim over here, they're kosher to be a agent. Even people who would be disqualified rabbinically from serving as a witness, for example, because they have a bad record of committing certain transgressions, kshedim l'shlichus get. They're kosher to deliver a divorce. Somebody who's disqualified by a means of a transgression that he did, biblically, psulin lahavas get. Such a person is disqualified from being an agent for a divorce. If he did bring it, it's a disqualified get. When do we say that it's only disqualified rabbinically? If at least you can verify the signatories of the divorce. But if the only source of credibility that we have is the agent, there's no witnesses signed in the document. All we have is the guy. And he has a bad record which would make him disqualified biblically. Ein get. The Rambam rules it is not a get, it's totally void. Commentaries here have a big field day with this because technically all you have to do is just hand it over to another good agent, right? Or they say another option over here. Maybe the witnesses signed on the get could actually come and verify themselves at a later point. They're not here now, but they can come later. So how does the Rambam rule that it's just not void? But nevertheless, the Rambam says that at least for now, it's void. Maybe indeed, the Rambam would agree that if the witnesses show up later, or if he hands it over to another agent, it would be fine. But in the moment, it's certainly not a get. Halacha ches. Haya hashliach katan k'shanasan lehaget v'gadol k'sheheviyah. What if the agent was in a disqualified state when he was appointed, but he was qualified when he delivered it? For example, he was a minor a day before bar mitzvah. The husband gave him the divorce. Then he takes a trip to the wife's place, and by the time he gets there, he's already bar mitzvah. Cheirish v'nispakach, or he was a deaf mute when he received the divorce, and he became healthy when he delivered the divorce. Shoita v'nishtapa, he was mentally unstable when he received the divorce, then he became of sound mind later. Akum v'nisgayer, he was a non-Jew, and he became a convert when, by the time he delivered it. Eved v'nishtachar, he was a slave when he received it, freed when he delivered it. Harei batal in all these cases, since the appointment of the agency was done in a disqualified way, the whole get is void. But if it was a little bit different. When he gave him the get, he was qualified. He was mentally competent. And he became temporarily deaf mute. And then, by delivery, he was back healthy again. He was sane when the divorce was given to him. He became insane and then came back sane. I don't know how you would trust him, but he came back sane. By the time he delivered the divorce, harei ze get kosher. Over here it is kosher, even if in the interim there was disqualification. The beginning and the end was done with sound mind, so we're good. Halacha tes. Let's talk about some specific cases in agency appointment. Ha'isha she'asas hashliach be'edim. A woman appoints an agent. Witnesses are watching. V'amra loya, and she says to him, Toil li giti v'yehei biyadcha. Bit of a strange wording. She says, take my divorce and let it be for me in your hand. What do you think he made her? She made him? Is she making him an agency for delivery or an agency for receiving?
Agency for receiving.
Yeah. Since she said, take it and let it be for me in your hand, harei zeh shliach lekabala. That classifies her in the first category, an agent for receiving. Uki'ilu amra lo hiskabel giti. It's as if she said, which is the classic language, receive my divorce. Not only can a woman make an agent to receive directly from the husband, she can make an agent to receive from an agent of the husband, which actually happens today in many communities. In Orthodox communities, if it has to be a divorce and the husband and wife don't want to see each other, each one will make an agent. The husband makes an agent, the wife makes an agent, the two agents come to the court, and one agent hands it off to the other agent. So that's allowed. A minor, a girl who was a minor and married, cannot make an agent for receiving, even though, let's say with regard to property. Like we learned yesterday, you can throw a get into a wife's property. Technically, if a woman is a minor, you can throw it into her property and it will work. But an agent she cannot do. Because to appoint an agent of reception, receiving, you have to have witnesses. We do not make testimony over a minor's issues because we consider them not to have a fully developed mind. And therefore, there's no way for the agency to go into effect, even though, let's say for other cases, she's like an adult. Okay, let's move on to a number of conversations between an agent and an husband. Halacha yud. Ha'isha she'asas hashliach lekabala. The woman makes an agent for receiving. Okay, that's, you can see it here. His name is Shliach Kabbalah. The Amar lehabal, when he comes to the husband, he says, listen, I'm here to receive your wife's divorce. Says the husband, look, I know if I give you the divorce right now and you're a Shliach Kabbalah, she's going to be divorced right away. I don't want that. I don't want that you should receive the divorce for her. I want you to convert into a Shliach Holacha. You be my agent. Here's the divorce. You bring it to her, and she'll only be divorced when it gets to her. Says the Rambam, he has the option.
The husband has the option?
He can convert the shlichut. The woman made him a shliach Kabbalah. The husband can make him a shliach holacha. Harishus b'yad habal, the husband has the option. V'nasa zeh shliach le'elacha v'lo shliach lekabala. And the husband can make him into a shliach for delivery, not a shliach for receiving. Avolim amar loi, but if the husband responds in any other language that doesn't imply delivery, for example, if he says over here, any of these 3 lines, if he responds, hiskabel lagita, receive it for her, receive the divorce for her, oy heilecha, or here you go, oy zechela, or he says acquire it for her, loy akar shlichos hakabala. He hasn't, by saying that, he hasn't uprooted the agency of receiving. Avolim amar loy, hoylechla, but if he just says, bring it to her, akar shlichos hakabala v'nasa shliach habal, he has uprooted the agency for receiving, and he has become an agent of the husband for delivery. It says, bring it and give it to her. Since he says the word bring it, he has converted. He has undone the agency for receiving. She is now his agent for delivery. The agent of a woman comes to receive her divorce from the husband. And the agent tells him, I am an agent for receiving. Now, there's no way for the husband to know, right? He's trusting the agent. The agent says, I'm an agent for receiving. So the husband gives her the divorce. He says, please, deliver this divorce as she wishes, which means, that means to say, I'm not here to uproot your type of agency. I just don't know who you are. Whether she made you an agent for receiving or an agent for delivery, let it be like she said. So he brings the divorce. And the woman, when he gets to the woman, tells her, 1 second, what are you telling my husband that you were an agent for receiving? You were not. I never made you an agent for receiving. I made you an agent for delivery. Even if the divorce actually reaches her hand. And remember, the husband said, let it be as she wants. Doesn't matter, she's not divorced. No problem with the husband. Here the problem is with the agent. The agent converted his own agency. She had said, you'd be an agent for delivery. He tells the husband, I'm an agent for receiving. Essentially what he's telling the husband is, I never became an agent for receiving, for delivery. I was an agent for receiving. And because the agent messed it up, so the whole divorce is messed up. On the other hand, though, if the agent messed it up the other way, it does work. Amar shliach labal. And pay attention here, the tag is going to change. Now he's a shliach hava'ah, shliach for delivery. Amar shliach labal, shliach hava ani. The agent tells the husband, listen, I'm here to deliver the divorce. Your wife appointed me to bring the divorce to her. Amar le habal, the husband says, okay, haylech kamay shamra, I trust you. Take the divorce as she said. He brings the divorce back. And she tells the agent, what are you talking about? I didn't appoint you to bring it here. I appointed you to receive it on behalf of me. Here, as long as the divorce actually reaches the woman, she's divorced. Because over here, by saying that he is an agent for delivery, he hasn't uprooted the agency for receiving. He has simply lowered it. She said it's for receiving, he says it's only for bringing. Remember, when an agent receives a get, the divorce goes into effect right away. When you have to bring the get, there's much more responsibility, much more difficulty. You have to transport the get to the woman. So by saying I'm only a delivery guy, not a receiving guy, you're actually putting more responsibility on yourself. And so it doesn't mess it up. Indeed, you have to bring it to her, as you said you would. You bring it to her, and it only goes into effect when she gets it, but the whole agency isn't uprooted. Halacha Yud Gimel. Habal shashalach get li ishtay. A husband sends a divorce to his wife. Bashliach litnela v'lein nataltay. The agent comes to give it to her. She says, I'm not taking it. Ela amar lei bifnei edim. She tells the agent in front of witnesses, Yia li get zeh pikaden etzlecha. Listen, you keep the divorce. Let it be a deposit by you. I don't want to take it. Or at that point she says, now be my agent to receive it for me. He already took it from the husband. He already brought it here. Now she's appointing him. At this point, the divorce is in doubt until the divorce reaches her hand. The moment she actually gets hold of the divorce, she'll be actually fully divorced. But she cannot, once the agent already received it from the husband as a delivery courier, she cannot add to that in any way. Halacha Yudalit, Shliach Shehevi Get. Agent is bringing a divorce. When he actually hands it over to the woman, there must be two witnesses watching, as we said in the beginning of the chapter. Special law. The two witnesses have to read the divorce, and only then the agent can hand it over, because they have to know that it's a divorce. We treat an agent and the wife as the husband and the wife, because the agent is going in the place of the husband. Therefore, if the agent gave it to the woman without having the witnesses read it, and before they have a chance to do anything, she takes the divorce and throws it overboard into the sea. And there's no way to know now if it's an actual divorce. She is divorced in doubt, as we saw in chapter 1, when it comes to the husband himself. If the agent transgressed, he didn't listen to the sages, and he handed over the divorce privately to the wife, all he has to do is take it back, and give it back to her in front of the witnesses. The fact that he gave it privately doesn't invalidate the whole get. Take it back, give it again. If the agent died, there's no way to take it back. So long as she still holds the divorce. And we can verify the signatories in the divorce, how days that get kosher, the divorce remains kosher, because at least the document itself has been verified. Halacha tezayin, shliach shenat ala get. An agent took the divorce. He's about to go, and as we see here in this wonderful picture, the kaidim shiagia liada isha. Before the guy has a chance to reach the wife, Chazar Abal v'Amar Lei, the husband comes and says, "Get shalachti imcha batelhu." The divorce I sent with you, it's canceled. Take it back. Aisha kadam v'Amar Leisha, or he reached the woman first. The husband sends the agent on a walk. He takes his car, drives to the woman, and says, "By the way, I sent an agent, but it's canceled. Get shalachti lich batelhu. The divorce I sent you is nullified." Aisha shalach shliach acher levatloi, or he sends another agent to go to the wife and tell her that it's cancelled. Or he makes a public announcement to other people. The divorce I just sent to my wife is cancelled. It's null and void, even if the get reaches the woman eventually. Now anybody who chooses to nullify an agency, nullify the get, in front of others, there has to be at least two people watching. But if the woman already received the divorce, or her agent already received the divorce, at that point he can no longer retract, can no longer cancel, because the woman's already divorced. Even if he retracted within what's called toch kedei dibur. Toch kedei dibur means the time it takes to talk. But it's referring to a special time. It means the time it takes to say the three words, Shalom Alecha Rabbi, peace unto you, my master. That's called Toch Kedei Dibur. Even if within that time frame, he retracts and he cancels the get, since he canceled it after she reached her hand, or after it reached the hand of her agent, or after it entered her property, a get kosher, it's not void, it's a kosher get. Halacha Yudzayin, if the husband was frantically searching for somebody to be an agent to go tell the woman that it's canceled, or he was frantically searching for two people to be witnesses, to watch him nullify it in front of them, and while he's frantically searching, the divorce reaches the woman's hand, and only has a chance later to cancel it, it's not cancelled. Even though he was looking and he was trying and he was hoping to make it happen before it reached the woman's hands, too bad, it reached her hands, she is divorced, no cancellation can further influence it. Halacha Yudches, Amar la'asara, a person tells 10 people, Kisvu get utnuli ishti, write a divorce and give it to my wife. He can cancel in the presence of any one of them, even if they're not all present. Or even in the presence of two other people. If he sent a written divorce in the hands of two people, also he can cancel it in the presence of one without the other. Even if there were 10 people being his agents. If he cancels it in front of one of them, the whole divorce is canceled. Now, notice there's a big problem here, because if you can just send an agent and cancel it at will, so how will the woman ever know, or how can you avoid it? The Rambam will soon address that. But for now, we're just learning the extent to which the husband has the right to cancel. A person tells two people, Get shani kaisivli ishti batalu. You should know, I'm writing a divorce now for my wife, but I'm doing it by force, let's say, or I don't want to do it, it's cancelled. Because of achrakach get, and they indeed wrote the divorce and handed it over in the presence of two other people. The fact that he originally notified the two witnesses that it's going to be cancelled makes it cancelled. Vizuhi, this is what's called mesiras hamoida'a ala get, delivering moda'ah. Moda'ah means advanced nullification. It's an Aramaic word. That's how it goes. Ala get. This is called giving over the nullification. It basically means you know you're about to be forced to write a get or whatever it is, so you tell two people quietly, listen, what I'm about to do is null and void. Similarly, if he tells them, Kol get sheyichtav li pleini batel, any divorce written to me by this scribe is cancelled. Or Kol get she'echtev bebeis dineh shel pleini arizah get batel, or any document that I will write in this guy's court is cancelled. Or Kol get she'echtev mikan v'ad esrim shana batel, or any divorce that I will write from now for the next 20 years is cancelled. Harei get batel. That's a void divorce. Or if he says in front of two people, Kol get she'echtev li pleini ishti batalu, any divorce that I will any time write for my wife will be cancelled. And any way that I'll be forced to cancel this cancellation is also cancelled. Because of and then he writes a divorce and gives it to his wife, even if he nullifies the cancellation before he gives the divorce, since he already cancelled that cancellation in advance, the whole divorce is void. So it seems like there's no way out of it. How could we ever fix this? And this, by the way, this becomes a big problem. And the commentators talk about it because there used to be people that were like that were apostates. They were heretic Jews, and the rabbis would force them to give a divorce to their wives so they can remarry. But then they were chachamim, they were learned. So they would go and they would cancel the divorce, just to trick their wives. To be forced to divorce, but she really not be divorced. And then you go and remarry and then have kids that are mamzerim because she's still married. So how do you fix this? Since a husband has always a right to make cancellations, im kain as Rambam malachachav ma'ut hakanas davar zeh. What's the way to fix this? Says the Rambam is only one way to fix it. That when he's about to write this divorce, the witnesses watching must tell him, Emoir bifanenu, declare before us, shekol advarim shemasarta, shegirmin kishiyiskaimu esan advarim levatel get, that any word you ever said, which would cause, if they were to be valid, which would cause the cancellation of this get, harehen betelim, cancel them now. So you cancel everything previously up till now. He has to agree to it. And only then does he tell them to write it and sign it and give it to her. And in this case, they shouldn't let him go till the divorce actually reaches her hand. So he shouldn't leave the room and cancel it.
It's a prenuptial gift.
In a way, yeah. You have to, before you give the divorce, you have to right here and now tell us that you're super serious and anything you ever said before is canceled. And by the way, this is done till today. In a court, before the husband gives the divorce, he is required to declare either verbally or to at least say yes in agreement to the statement that he cancels all previous cancellations. Giving this advance nullification or canceling the advance nullification doesn't require an act, a contractual act of acquisition. It just happens verbally. Chav Aleph. Hashaliach get be'ad hashliach ubitel get. A person sends a divorce in the hands of an agent and he cancels the agency, the divorce. Don't think he made the whole divorce invalid. He can go back anytime he wants and use the same document to divorce his wife. He only canceled it not from being a divorce, but from being a good agency. He canceled the agency, not the divorce. Therefore, if the divorce was in the hands of the husband still, and then he canceled it, he said, this divorce that I'm holding is void. He can never use it to divorce again. It's like a broken piece of pottery because he's holding it. So for sure he canceled the divorce itself, not just the agency. If he uses it to divorce, she's not divorced. Also, if he was explicit when he canceled it, even if it's in the hands of the agent, and he says, get, he uses those words. The divorce that I'm sending is canceled from ever being a divorce. You can never use it for divorce because you've actually clearly nullified the power of the divorce. What language has to be used? Which words in Hebrew have to be used to imply the cancellation of a divorce? Omar, if he says, Batelhu, it's void. Ef shiboy, it's impossible for me to want it, I don't want it anymore. Get ze lo yoyil, this divorce shouldn't help. Lo yatir, shouldn't permit my wife. V'lo yazev, shouldn't let her go. V'lo yeshalach, shouldn't send her. V'lo yegarish, shouldn't divorce. Yi kacheres, it should be like pottery. Yi cheres, it should be pottery. Hareo kacheres, it is like pottery. Any of these languages. If he used any of these expressions or anything similar to it, he has voided it. It shows that he really, really doesn't want it to be of any value. But if all he says is gate ze eine get, this divorce is not a divorce. Pasalu, it's disqualified. Eine moil, it doesn't help. Not it shouldn't help in the future. It doesn't help. Eine matir, it doesn't permit. Eine mishalech, it doesn't send her away. Eine megarish, it doesn't effectuate divorce. Cheres hu, it is pottery. Le'amar klum, he hasn't said anything. She'ein ze lashon mevatel ela lashon meidia amitas hadavar. In Hebrew, if you appreciate the grammar, it's not a futuristic cancellation. It's describing the present case. When you say this divorce does not help, you're not saying it should not help. That would be you telling us what's going to happen. If you say it doesn't help, you're trying to tell us what is happening, and it's not. It is a helpful get. You have notified us a fact which isn't true. It's like holding a piece of pork and saying, this is kosher. No, it's not. If it's impure, you're saying it's pure. No, it's not pure. You can't declare a fact that's not true. You can tell us what's going to happen. This divorce is not going to help. I don't want it to be effective. That's good. But if you're saying it in present tense, it doesn't work. Halacha chadalid. Amar geit ze batal. You pay attention here. This is two Hebrew words. You have batel and batal. When you say batel, that's a present tense description. It is void. When you say batal, shemashmoi poyal she'avar. In Hebrew grammar, it has an implication of a verb in the past tense. Kigoyin chamak avar, like the words in Shir HaShirim. He turned away. He went away. So now, there's a bit of a doubt. Harei zeh safek. We don't know what you're saying. Are you telling us it's going to be void in a futuristic, positive way? Or are you saying it already has been voided, in which case it's not true, because you're letting us know a fact that isn't true? If she uses this divorce to get divorced, it's a doubtful divorce. We're not sure if it was actually canceled or not. Another conversation. A guy sends a divorce for his wife. The agent comes back after a day. He says, listen, I couldn't find her. Or she didn't want to take it. The husband reacts with a blessing. He's like, blessed is Hashem. Like, thank God. Or anything like that response, shemashman or mashmashmin, she'ein bedaite legarsha, which implied that he actually didn't want to divorce her. He is happy that the divorce was delayed. Loi batal haget. Just because he said that, it does not cancel the divorce. He can give it again if he finds her, and she'll be divorced. Unless he says explicitly, Loi titein la. Don't give it to her. Just a rejoicing, like thank God. Thank God could mean, thank God it's delayed, but I still want it to happen tomorrow. If he says don't give it to her, or he explicitly nullifies it using one of the above expressions that we learned, then of course it's void.
And it's always with two witnesses.
Always two witnesses. Chavav. Even though it's allowed. If a husband sends a divorce with his wife and then cancels it, as other two people are watching, or somebody gives an advance nullification of a divorce, the rabbis don't like it. It's allowed, but we're going to whip you. Rabbinic lashes. Because you're causing illegitimate children to be born. Your wife thinks she's divorced, she's going to remarry. Meanwhile, you're canceling it behind her back. There's going to be kids that are going to be born illegitimate. The divorce is going to reach her hand, she's going to get married. And there's going to be witnesses coming out, he canceled it. Or he advanced nullified it before he wrote the divorce. It turns out the kid is a mamzer, which is very bad. When an agent does bring a divorce and gives it to a woman, we don't have to assume that the husband divorced, the husband canceled it. We assume it's kosher, give it to the woman, presuming that it's kosher, let her get married. If indeed it turns out later that he canceled it, she has to leave the second marriage. It's very sad. The kid is a mamzer if there was a kid. Similarly, if with no agent, the guy writes a divorce, gives it to his wife. We don't have to assume maybe he advancedly nullified it, while two people were watching, and he didn't tell us. There's a presumption of kosherness, let her get married. If an agent is bringing a divorce, but when he left the husband was very sick or old. You can give the woman a divorce, presuming that he's alive still. But if he left him, goises is like literally in his death throes. He's about to die. And halakhically, we recognize that state as mostly they're going to die. They're not going to recover. So even if he gives it to her, Geirushin, it's only a doubtful divorce. Because there's no divorce after death, only while he's alive. So you can't really know if this is fully divorced or maybe she's just a widow. What's the ramifications? Can she marry a Kohen? It's a big deal. Because if she's not divorced, she can marry a Kohen. But if she is, an inheritance, it's a whole bunch of things. Yeah. Or let's say the husband has no children. If she's divorced, she doesn't have to have yibum, no levirate marriage. But if he died, she has to get married to the brother. It can make big problems. You have a city that was sieged by an army. Or a boat is stormy at sea. Or somebody going out to be judged in a non-Jewish court. They are all presumed alive until you know that they're dead. And if somebody had these people's divorce in his hand as an agent, you give it to his wife, she is presumed to be divorced because we assume the husband is still alive. But if a city was already conquered by the army, it was breached, or a boat that sank in the sea, or somebody going out to be killed, not just to be judged, to be killed by an idol-worshipping Gentile court, or somebody was dragged away by an animal, or swept away by a river, or had an avalanche fall on him, we have to assume that they're alive and dead for stringency. And therefore, if somebody is holding their divorce as an agent, you cannot give it to the wife because maybe he's dead. But if he gave it to her, she is divorced in doubt, maybe he's alive. Of course, if you find out later that the husband had died before the divorce reached her, it's not a divorce. Lamet. The final halacha for today, if a husband sends a divorce to his wife while the agent is traveling, he's still obligated to support her, and all the other conditions that come along with the ketubah, he's still obligated in that, until the divorce actually reaches her hand or the hands of her agent for receiving. In other words, they're still married until they're not.